thought it was time for me to make a post about something because I want to make myself very clear. Some questions about anti-vaxxers have come up lately. There have been a few posts. There have been some people that have taken exception to the posts. What I'm saying is that when someone puts a post up that basically calls an anti-vaxxer a dumbass, for lack of better words, there's been one or two people that don't agree with it. I'm going to say something right now. I am a very open-minded person. I really am. I've seen a lot of things. I've been through a lot of things. I really am. I'm very tolerant of things. But when it comes to not vaccinating your children, my tolerance drops to about 0. And I'm going to make this post right now. It may not be popular, may not be widely received, but that's fine because I got to stick to my guns and my beliefs on this. A post just came up recently where someone put up a video from Penn and Teller. Watch it, it's on the Facebook page. I'm posting this on the Facebook page so you can go see it. And it basically shows or discusses in a very way, they didn't mince their words, that you can vaccinate or not vaccinate. You can take your chances or not take your chances. Here's some things I don't think people think about. Before vaccinating people, before vaccinations, the miracle of vaccinations, the miracle of science and our brain, our collective intelligence came together and found a way to save millions upon millions upon millions of people from suffering. Millions upon millions upon millions of people suffered. Who suffer the most? Babies, very young, the immune compromised, the sick, and the elderly. Our most precious and vulnerable people in our world. They deserve to be protected. I have seen in pediatrics children with cancer with 0 immune system come in and almost die or die and suffer further because some parent got it in their head that they shouldn't vaccinate. So their child was a carrier and infected another child who stood a chance to live, and they didn't, or they suffered further because this parent felt it was well within their rights through some ridiculous notion, some propaganda, some conspiracy theory that vaccinations can cause harm to their child. And God forbid, may cause autism. Now, we all know it doesn't cause autism, but because some idiot, irresponsible idiot put it out there that it was possible, well, I'd rather have no child than an autistic child. Yeah, I'd rather have a child that thinks differently than most of the rest of the world. But maybe that makes a bit of sense to me right now because, you know what? You don't think differently. You are like sheep that go along and gallop with the first persuasive idea that comes along to you that maybe this other thinking child may have the ability to think for themselves regardless. You want to think different, but you don't want a different thinking child. Well, that's a whole other ball of wax right there. Anti-vaxxers. I'd like you to take a look at your child and think about how much you love them, because there's no doubt in my mind that you do. And think about them getting so sick and almost dying, or maybe dying, because someone is neglectful for some reason. Someone decides to hop onto some ridiculous pseudoscience and create irreversible harm or unnecessary pain and suffering to your child. I implore you to go look up the signs and symptoms of measles, mumps, rubella, meningococcal meningitis. Go look them all up. Typhoid, malaria, just go look them all up. Go look at what the long-term effects, short-term effects, and you tell me, do you for a second want your child to feel that way? Do you? And are you okay with inflicting that on another child? One other question comes up. It comes up, well, my child didn't get sick and I didn't vaccinate him. Think about this. Maybe because all the other children around you are vaccinated and the parents are vaccinated. Maybe, just maybe, they're keeping the disease at bay for you and your family. Are you really that dumb? Are you really so set on being right? You ever heard of the greater good? Have you? Do you believe in science? Do you? Are you going to start refusing antibiotics now? Are you going to refuse, well, what if your child becomes diabetic? Are you going to refuse insulin? What if your child's asthmatic? Should we not do allergy tests or maybe give histamines when they're having a reaction? Go talk to some elderly people whose family members have polio or have died from polio or were crippled. Or crippled is a terrible word, disabled because of it. What do you talk about to some people who's lost their parents or a brother or a sister or an aunt or an uncle, a loved one, because vaccinations weren't available then? Go talk to some elderly people. They'll set you straight pretty quick. So I don't want you people throwing out paper tigers at me with giving me the only answer that I can give is something that kind of feeds your argument. Like, should parents be forced to vaccinate their children? So let's throw that word forced in there so that I say, yes, they should be forced. Well, that's Big Brother, isn't it? We have no freedom anymore, do we? There are laws that protect us against criminal behavior. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But I think not vaccinating your child is criminal behavior because you are putting your loved ones at risk. You're putting everybody around you who's not vaccinated or sick at risk. It's neglect and it's abuse. And not just to your people, but to everybody around. So those are my extreme words. So forced, that's a word you like, then yeah, I'm going to say yes. Parents should be forced to vaccinate their children. Yes. If they're sick, no. If they're allergic, no. If there's any contraindication to do it, no. Clearly, obviously, you don't do it then. And then you take all the other precautions that is necessary. Should you be allowed to enter your child into school without vaccinations? No. Once they get vaccinated, they can go back to school, or you can homeschool them. And then your child gets abused even further, or gets left out or neglected further. They suffer because of your selfish beliefs. Your selfish beliefs. You want to be right. You want to cite nonsense and garbage from unreliable sources, or you'll pull an FDA little sheet of paper that, talks about, like you get with a bottle of Tylenol, any medical instruction that says, here's all the things that you can happen, right? Oh, well, if you use this hair product, you've seen this, a hair product or something silly, you've seen it online, and, well, if you take Zenofax, I'm just going to come up with something, you may get uncontrollable diarrhea and sneezing. Your skin may turn purple. You might have a heart attack. They have to list everything. So if you're going to throw a sheet of paper with contraindications and signs and symptoms and things that may happen at me, you're being ridiculous. Your arguments don't stand. You don't have the right to pull out one tiny little thing and use that as your argument against. It doesn't work that way. You want all the other advancements of science. You love your cell phone, don't you? You love your cable TV. You like your car being able to start with a push of a button. You like all those things? You like your selfies? Well, the side selfie is my favorite right now. You like that? You like all those things, but not the science that saves the world, that can save most of the world, save people from suffering. Are you freaking out about the coronavirus a little bit right now? What if you were offered a vaccine tomorrow that guaranteed that you or your children would not get it? Would you take it? It's important questions. You know what? Yeah, I'm pissed off. You're damn right, because I hear this over and over and over again, and I've seen too many children suffer because you just don't want to be wrong. You don't want to admit. You like your sources that you find because they support your ridiculousness. I got a question for you. I'm working in the hospital. A child comes in with sickle cell disease. Needs a transfusion. Or hemophilia. Needs some kind of interferon or something, and maybe a transfusion. The parents say no. It's against our religion. This child will die without it. What do you do? Do you have this child apprehended from the Children's Aid Society and have the infusion put in and then give the child back to the parents and you save their life? Or do you say, no, it's okay, it's their beliefs, let the child go? I don't see really much any difference between that and your beliefs. So yeah, this video is directed at all you anti-vaxxers out there, and I'm not even getting down and dirty with how I feel. I'm keeping myself under control here. I have so many resources I can throw you: life experience, education, and watching and seeing tragedies. And boy, isn't it nice for you to have that luxury just to sit back and decide, nope, I'm going to belligerently go against something that for over 100 years has saved people. I'm going to end this right here. And I know, like many of us, I'll come up with a whole bunch of other stuff when I stop recording. So if I can implore you for any reason to reconsider, not to reconsider vaccinating your child as opposed to not vaccinating your child, please do your due diligence and seek out every source you possibly can. I'm not saying you don't love your children, but you are neglecting them. And it is abuse. And it's criminal behavior to everyone around you that can get sick. These are my strong beliefs, and that's it. I'm done.